Hello viewers, welcome to Studio NIS. I am Dr. Pooja Chopra. Today we will discuss about management approaches, nature and scope. Humans are the biggest resource for any country. Humans can be transformed into resource by education. Education is fundamental to growth and development. The human mind makes possible all development achievements from health advances and agriculture innovations to efficient public administration and private sector growth. For countries to reap these benefits fully, they need to unleash the potential of human mind. And there is no better tool for doing so than education. Education is an engine of growth and key to development in every society based on its quality and quantity. In order to make a significant contribution to economic growth and development, high quality education is required. The 21st century paradigm is shifting towards the enhancement of knowledge as a priority. So, in this 21st century, knowledge is priority. Ours is called as a knowledge-based society. To quote Wendy Cap, education is the most powerful tool countries have for boosting economic growth, increasing prosperity, and forging more just, peaceful, and equitable societies. Where educational deprivation exists, it breeds conflict and enables repression. Very true. To quote again, human capitals can be increased through education and training. Indeed, education is a power. Education is also an economic good. Economist regards education as both a consumer and capital good because it offers utility, satisfaction to a consumer and also serves as an input to develop the human resources necessary for economic and social transformation. The focus on education as capital good related to the concept of human capital, which emphasizes that the development of skills is an important factor in production activities. Remember Skill India initiative by PM Modi? It is again reinforced the development of skill development. It is widely accepted that education creates improved citizens and helps to upgrade the general standards of living in a society. The increased faith in education as an agent of change in many developing countries has led to heavy investments in it. The pressure for higher education in many developing countries has undoubtedly being held by the public perception of financial reward from pursuing such education. There is a belief that expanding educational opportunities and access promotes economic growth. Education and training of people increases income of the family, community, society and country at large. It would imply that education and training is treated as an investment and like expensive machinery, education is expected to earn profit in return to those who invest in education and training. Education for all is a universal goal that all nations strive to achieve. All goals can be achieved if the schools and institutions are managed properly, if the education system of our country is managed properly. In this lecture, we will explore the nature and scope of various management approaches and discuss how investment in education can lead to economic development of a nation. Let us first begin with management. As you all know that management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. This famous quote is given by famous manager Stephen Covey. Management helps in achieving goals of a school and education system. Good management in all spheres can fulfill the goals of education for all. Now we will move on to definitions of management. According to Henry Fayol, to manage is to forecast and to plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control. Donald J. Close says, management is the art and science of decision making and leadership. So all school principals and teachers should be good decision makers. They should be good leadership. Again, to quote Harold Schoons and Hans Welrich, management is the process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in groups efficiently accomplish selected aims. Meaning of management. Hence, management is a distinct process consisting of planning, organizing, directing and controlling and evaluating to accomplish the predetermined objectives of an institution through the coordinate uses of human and material resources. It is the accomplishment of results through the efforts of other people. Now we will discuss concept of 5 M's of school management. Management of any organization, whether it's school or institutions or hospitals, there are 5 M's. For example, in school management, the inputs are infrastructure, facilities, funds, teachers and students, methods of teaching learning process, and the outputs are achievement of students in the academics, co-curricular activities, teachers' professional growth, etc. The 5 M's are, thus input consists of manpower. Manpower is men and women, materials, machinery, methods and money. All these resources are known as 5 M's of management, and an effective manager is one who is able to use all these resources to have maximum output. So, effective management is a necessity and various management approaches should be used to achieve the goal of universalization of education. Let us discuss the nature and scope of various management approaches. Working population of a country, say 18 to 65 years of age, can be considered as a manpower for our country. Literate manpower is an asset. Goals of literacy can be achieved by sending children of age group 6 to 14 years through Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. You as teachers are doing your duty sincerely to teach these children for making them literate, so that in their later life, these children, after getting education and acquiring some professional training, are in a position to improve their earning capacity. Think of the schooling facility in your state. Has it not expanded over the years? Think of educational status of your father, forefather or village community around you. Things have changed. Education is expanding. Those who are primary go to the upper primary class, upper primary go to the secondary and secondary to senior secondary. And in this way, they climb up the ladder of education step by step. Education is considered a lifelong learning because new knowledge and new skills are added day by day. The demand from technical education is increasing. Computer education is reaching in the remote cities and towns. Why? Why it is so? It is simply because it provides differential income to those who possess it and those who do not possess it. Citizens who have this computer literacy are definitely going to earn more. So, education is creating differential in incomes also. In a nutshell, we can say that in the present day world, the outlook of family, community, society or government towards education has changed considerably. The capacity and ability acquired by human beings through better education and health facilities are used as means to the attainment of rapid economic growth, which is the ultimate aim of the nation. Education is also a Millennium Development Goal. As we have discussed that management is an activity which is necessary whenever there is a group of people working in an organization. Management aims at guiding their efforts towards achieving a common objective, a goal. Thus, management has to see that tasks are completed and goals are achieved, that is effectiveness with the least amount of resources at a minimum cost, that is efficiency. Management has therefore been defined as the process of getting things done with the aim of achieving goals effectively and efficiently. We need to analyze this definition. There are certain terms which require elaboration. These are process, effectively and efficiently. Now we will discuss this in detail. Process in the definition means the primary functions or activities that management performs to get things done. Effectiveness in management is concerned with doing the right task, completing activities and achieving goals. In other words, it is concerned with the end result. But it is not enough to just complete the tasks. There is another aspect also, that is being efficient, or we say doing work efficiently. Efficiently means doing the task correctly and with minimum cost. So, when we do things efficiently, we do it with minimum cost. There is a kind of cost benefit analysis involved and the relationship between inputs and outputs. If by using less resources, that is the input, more benefits are derived, that is output, then efficiency is increased. As now we have understood the concept and importance of management, let us discuss the nature and scope of management approaches. First, we will discuss about human capital theories. In the early 1960s, the American economist Theodore W. Schools coined the term human capital to refer to this to a stock of productive knowledge and skill possessed by workers. Human capital theory rests on the assumption that formal education is highly instrumental and necessary to improve the productive capacity of a population. In short, human capital theorists argue that an educated population is a productive population. It emphasized how education increases the productivity and efficiency of workers by increasing the level of the cognitive stock of the economically productive human capability, which is a product of innate abilities and investment in human beings. The provision of formal education is seen as an investment in human capital, which proponents of the theory have considered as equally or even more worthwhile than that of a physical capital. Human capital theory, or HCT, concludes that investment in human capital will lead to a greater economic outputs. However, the validity of the theory is sometimes hard to prove and contradictory. In the past, economic strength was largely dependent on the tangible physical assets such as land, factory and equipment. Labor was a necessary component, but increase in the value of business come from the investment in capital equipment. Modern economists seems to concur that education and healthcare are the key to improving human capital and ultimately increasing the economic outputs of the nation. The human capital theory emphasizes the need for policymakers to allocate significant resources to the expansion of educational system. Many of the developing nations have thus realized that the principal mechanism for developing human knowledge is the education system. Thus, they invest huge sums of money on education not only as an attempt to impact knowledge and skill to individuals, but also to impart values, ideas, attitudes and aspirations, which may be in the nation's best development interests. Quality needs to be the focus of educational investments, with learning gains as the key metric of the quality. Resources are too limited and the challenges too big to be designing policies and programs in the dark. We need evidence on what works in order to invest smartly. Learning for all provides the equity goals that underlie education for all. Achieving learning for all will be challenging, but it is the right agenda for the next decade. It is the knowledge and skills that children and youth acquire today that will drive their employability, productivity, health, and well-being in the decades to come, and thus that will help ensure that their communities and nations thrive. In the long run, investment in education is going to reap results. However, the private demand for education and training, household demand, would depend also on the following consideration. First is the change in the cost of voluntary education, tastes or preference of individuals, household for the education, income of the house. Higher the income of the household, higher the capacity to spend on education, or vice versa. Then the most important factor is expected return of income from different investment opportunities. Higher or less expected return in investing money in education and training or investment somewhere else. But later on, this manpower approach of human capital model was criticized, because in the market and real life situation, the research has shown that the wealth distribution and household earnings do not go with the distribution of education and training in the country. Sources of income and returns from schooling do not match with the level of education and training. There are other factors and forces in the society which also matters in the distribution of wealth. Otherwise, the economic status of a household would have been more or less equal to the other household whose educational status is more or less equal to other household with the same level of or type of education and training. So there exists in the system that other forces are also working to create disparities in the distribution of wealth in the country. These forces may be of social nature or due to political pulls. These forces of social nature or political pulls are seen by some economists as economic structure of a country. According to Lester Thurow, 1972, the distribution of income is determined by the distribution of job opportunities and not by the distribution of labor. Q. With a given education training, job opportunities indicate that the demand of jobs in the country and the labor. Job distribution, according to Thurow, is governed by three factors. The first factor is characteristic of a technical progress, wage determination, which is governed by the bargaining power of the trade unions or the wage differentials in the country extra. The third factor given by Thurow is the distribution of training cost between employees and the employers. So the management approach of manpower in the country is very crucial. Crucial issues like economic structure of the economy, job specifications, technical progress, role of trade unions, provision of education and training of the suitable time in the line with the job satisfaction and required skills. Labor laws and wages, investment in public health care and education and regulation of oversupply of labor should be monitored regularly. This would help in the management of manpower and regulating the demand and supply of manpower for given job opportunities in increasing range of professional and technical occupations. Oversupply of laborers may lead to upgrade the qualifications required for entry to an occupation, resulting in the mismatch between demand and supply of the labor. It is quite possible that for the lower job, persons with high grade educational qualifications and training may compete. This type of situation in the market would give signals of misplaced investment in education and professional training. This should not happen. In conclusion, it can be stated that education and training, schooling, may not bring the expected earning to an individual, but it could not be a wasteful expenditure, since the educated person is an asset to his or her family, to himself or herself, and society at large. Thank you.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो। मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, स्वयं बने, हम
पच्चीस साल का लंबा सफर और लाखों लोगों के चेहरों पर खिलती मुस्कान, गर्व और गरिमा से जीने की प्रेरणा देती मुस्कान, आत्मसम्मान और विश्वास से पैदा हुई मुस्कान। इन खिलते चेहरों पर ये मुस्कान आई है शिक्षा के जरिए। ये मुस्कान आई है नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ओपन स्कूलिंग यानी NIOS के जरिए। नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ओपन स्कूलिंग या राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालयी शिक्षा संस्थान, इस संस्थान का एक बड़ा उद्देश्य है आम आदमियों के जीवन को बेहतर बनाना। ऐसे लोग जिनके लिए शिक्षा एक दूर का सपना है, या वे बच्चे जो परिवार की रोजी रोटी कमाने के लिए बीच में ही स्कूल छोड़ने पर मजबूर हो जाते हैं। NIOS ऐसे बच्चों और बड़ों को दोबारा शिक्षा से जुड़ने का मौका मुहैया कराता है ताकि वे एक बेहतर जीवन जी सकें। 1989 में स्थापना के बाद NIOS ने देश के लाखों बच्चों और वयस्कों को बेहतर शिक्षा से जोड़ा है। इनमें हर उम्र, हर पृष्ठभूमि, हर जाति, हर मजहब और हर क्षेत्र के लड़के लड़कियां, महिलाएं और पुरुष शामिल हैं। बढ़ई से लेकर पायलट, डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर, बेकर और दर्जी तक NIOS कोशिश कर रहा है सबको शिक्षित और सशक्त बनाने की, चाहे वो असम के दूर दराज इलाके में रहने वाला हो या फिर मुंबई जैसे महानगर का। NIOS ने अपनी मौजूदगी हर जगह दर्ज कराई है। NIOS ने शिक्षा की परंपरागत सोच को ही बदल दिया है। वो पढ़िए जो हम पढ़ाते हैं की जगह NIOS की नई सोच है, हम वो पढ़ाते हैं जो आप पढ़ना चाहते हैं। इस नई सोच ने लोगों को आगे बढ़ने और NIOS के साथ जुड़ने के लिए प्रोत्साहित किया है। शिक्षा उपलब्ध कराने के मामले में NIOS किसी सीमा को नहीं मानता, उम्र की सीमा को भी नहीं। चंडीगढ़ के गणेश के लिए भी NIOS एक वरदान साबित हुआ। NIOS शारीरिक रूप से अक्षम बच्चों को भी बेहतर शिक्षा मुहैया कराने के लिए पूरी तरह प्रतिबद्ध है। ऐसे बच्चों के लिए शिक्षा न केवल रोजगार के द्वार खोलती है, बल्कि उन्हें आत्मविश्वास और गर्व के साथ जीना भी सिखाती है। NIOS खेल के इन सितारों को उनकी सुविधा और समय के अनुसार बेहतर शिक्षा उपलब्ध कराता है। मेरी कॉम, सोमदेव देववर्मन, देविका रेबेका पल्लिकल, अरमान इब्राहिम, प्रद्युमन प्रकाश और अमय जोत सिंह। NIOS सीमा पर खड़े उन प्रहरियों को भी शिक्षा से लाभान्वित करता है जो देश की सुरक्षा के लिए अपनी जान की बाजी लगाने से भी नहीं चूकते। सच तो ये है कि NIOS की पहुंच हर ओर रहती है, चाहे वो दूर दराज के आदिवासी हो या जेल की कोठरी में बंद कैदी या फिर ग्रामीण और शहरी क्षेत्रों के गरीब निवासी। देश में कहीं भी कोई भी व्यक्ति, स्त्री, पुरुष, लड़का, लड़की, अमीर, गरीब शिक्षा से वंचित न रहे। राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालयी शिक्षा संस्थान का यही मिशन है।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालयी शिक्षा संस्थान पूरे देश में शिक्षा के साथ साथ कौशल विकास के क्षेत्र में बहुत सारे कोर्सेज दे रहा है। लगभग 100 से ज़्यादा कोर्सेज हैं। हम दूर दराज के गांव में अपने संस्थान बनाते हैं और वहाँ के बच्चों को, वहाँ के बच्चियों को, वहाँ के वयस्कों को हुनर के क्षेत्र में शिक्षा पहुँचाते हैं। आपको जानकर खुशी होगी कि अब हम आर्ट, साइंस, कॉमर्स जिन क्षेत्रों में 12वीं का सर्टिफिकेट दिया जाता रहा है, अब हम हुनर के क्षेत्र में, वोकेशनल एरिया में भी 10वीं और 12वीं का सर्टिफिकेशन करेंगे। तो वो बच्चे जो कृषि से जुड़े हुए हैं, कारपेंट्री से जुड़े हुए हैं या दूसरे क्षेत्रों से जुड़े हुए हैं, वो अपने ही क्षेत्र में काम करेंगे, सीखेंगे, हुनर पैदा करेंगे अपने में और सर्टिफाइड भी होंगे कि वो सर्टिफाइड कृषक हैं, खेतिहर हैं। तो आज तक जो हमारे देश में ये सोच रही है कि आप 12वीं पास तभी कहे जाएंगे जब भूगोल, अर्थशास्त्र, भौतिकी ये पढ़ेंगे, अब ये समय बदल गया है। ITI में जितने बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, लगभग 18 लाख बच्चे हर साल दाखिला लेते हैं। अब हम उनको सर्टिफिकेशन करेंगे।
NIOS अपने छात्रों को माध्यमिक स्तर पर 26 और उच्च माध्यमिक स्तर पर 19 विषयों का विकल्प देता है। पढ़ाई किस माध्यम से करनी है, इसमें भी आपको लचीलापन मिलेगा। माध्यमिक स्तर पर ही 7 भाषाओं के अलग अलग माध्यमों का विकल्प मौजूद है। शैक्षणिक कार्यक्रमों के अलावा 86 वोकेशनल शिक्षा कार्यक्रम भी उपलब्ध हैं, जो छात्रों को कामकाजी दुनिया के लिए तैयार करते हैं। वोकेशनल प्रशिक्षण को अधिक सुदृढ़ बनाने के लिए NIOS ने ITDC, सिस्को, इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन जैसे कई सरकारी और गैर सरकारी संस्थानों के साथ भागीदारी स्थापित की है। आज लाखों छात्रों के लिए अपनी पसंद का स्कूल है राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालयी शिक्षा संस्थान यानी नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ओपन स्कूलिंग। NIOS ने एक लंबा सफर तय किया है, लेकिन मंजिल अभी दूर है। निरंतर विकास और नवीनीकरण के लिए NIOS सदैव प्रतिबद्ध है। शिक्षा का उद्देश्य महज रोजगार जुटाना ही नहीं है, बल्कि स्वयं को सशक्त बनाना भी है। NIOS लाखों छात्रों के लिए यही आत्मसम्मान दिलाने में जुटा है। लाखों लोगों के लिए एक आशा और उम्मीद है। नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ ओपन स्कूलिंग। शिक्षा सबके लिए, कहीं भी, कभी भी।